بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته and welcome to Lessons in Fiqh. The chapter we're studying is the chapter that deals with ghusl, the obligatory or the total bath. And the hadith we have before our hands is hadith number 100. And who among us will read it, inshallah? Brother Muhammad?
All right. Narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may God be pleased with him. Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, taking a bath on Friday is a must for every adult.
Okay, I think that the following hadith is also connected to it, so I think it's relevant that we also read it. Brother Muhammad?
Narrated by Samura, may Allah be pleased with him, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, whoever performs ablution on the day of Jum'ah has done a good thing, and whoever takes a bath, taking a bath is better for him.
Now, these hadiths seem to conflict with each other because the first hadith tells us that it is a must, it's mandatory to take a bath on the day of Jum'ah. And the other hadith tells us that if you take a bath, it's good, and if you perform ablution, it's also good. So it's better to take a bath, but ablution does the job. So what is the verdict on Friday's obligatory bath? Is it a must or not? If you look at the first hadith, you will see that the Prophet says it is a must on every adult. And this includes females, includes women. But the consensus of scholars that women are exempted from this hadith. They're not included. So there are loopholes in this hadith that one could follow and say, well then, if they're exempted from this hadith, why not males also to be exempted from this hadith? Why make it a must in the first place? And if you read the hadith, the original hadith, it has a prolonged version, a longer version that says, the Prophet ﷺ said that taking a total bath on the day of Friday is a must on every male adult, and the siwak, and putting perfumes. So the consensus of scholars that using the siwak, if you remember the thing that we brush our teeth with, using the siwak and performing and putting perfume for the day of Jum'ah is not obligatory, it's not a must. So the Prophet said having a total bath, using the siwak, and putting perfume. So the scholars have two different opinions. The majority say it is not a must, it's preferable. And a big chunk of scholars, a lot of other scholars say no, it is a must to take the obligatory bath. Why is that? They say because this hadith says that we should do it. And there's another hadith that states that Uthman ibn Affan, may Allah be pleased with him, came to the mosque while Umar ibn al-Khattab, the second caliph, was delivering the speech, and he came late. So Umar did not address Uthman directly. He said, how come some people come late for Friday? It's not a good thing to do, to make it a habit to come late on Fridays while the Imam is giving the speech. So Uthman spoke out, and he said, well, Khalifa, or Caliph of the Messenger ﷺ, excuse me, pardon me, but I did not realize it was Friday prayer until I heard the adhan of the mosque. So I immediately performed ablution and came to the mosque. So Umar radiallahu anhu said, you performed ablution and did not wash for ghusl, did not make ghusl? You did not take obligatory bath, total bath? Don't you know that this is a must? So scholars say, Umar telling Uthman that he should have taken a total bath means that it's a must. In another hadith, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, may Allah be pleased with him, told his son to perform ghusl for Friday. So his son said that I have performed ghusl after having intercourse with my wife. He said, no, this is not enough. Make another one for Friday. So the group of scholars that said that it's obligatory, they have evidence from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, from the actions of Umar, and from the actions of Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas. Now those who say, no, it is not obligatory, say it because of the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, when he said it's a must on every adult, plus siwak, plus perfuming. And the later two is not a must. It's a sunnah. It's preferable. So why not make the first one also, likewise, a preferable thing to do? And again, they have other evidences, such as Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him, explains to us when some of his companions came to him and said, Ibn Abbas is showering, is taking the obligatory bath for Jum'ah a must, or it's recommended, preferable? He said, I'll tell you the story behind that. At the time of the Prophet ﷺ, all the companions used to work. Where did the companions used to work, Fadi?
In the market.
Markets, Muhammad. Factories, seaports, Mustafa.
Markets or
Medina, what was Medina famous for?
trading,
Medina dates.
farming.
Farms. It was filled with farms. So most of the companions used to work in farming. So Ibn Abbas explains, they used to work in farming from early in the morning, and they used to have only one garment. They didn't have, a wardrobe full of suits and Armanis and Versace's or whatever. They had only one garment that protected them and that, covered their bodies. So usually it was made of wool. And wool is very tough and it's very hot. Therefore, whenever they came to the mosque for Friday prayer, and they all sat down, they started to smell. And they, of course, you don't feel comfortable when everybody else is smelling, including yourself. You feel agitated. So they felt very bad about it. So the Prophet, Ibn Abbas says, the Prophet came to them and said that it is a must on every adult to wash himself once a week. And this was the origin of washing or taking the total bath for Jum'ah. So from this, Ibn Abbas tells us that this means that if you are clean and you do not smell, then you don't have to take a bath. It's okay that you do not bathe for Jumu'ah, for Friday. And the other hadith of Samurah, the Prophet tells us, whoever bathes, this is great. But whoever performs ablution, this is acceptable. If you perform ablution for Jumu'ah, this is acceptable. But it's greater that you take a total or obligatory bath. Now, a thing that I would like to point out is, unfortunately, there are some Muslims that smell. And this is unacceptable. You should always maintain to have a good smell in your body. Some of the brothers have odor. And some of the brothers, once you smell them, you say, oh dear, this is too much. And they should do something about it. And Islam tells us you have to wash. You have to shower. You have to clean yourself. Now, it doesn't tell you go to the extent of buying deodorants and put perfumes and put makeup on. No, not to that extent. But you have to maintain the minimal level possible, which is you must not harm others with your smell. And that is why, in Islam, you're not allowed to enter the mosque if you have eaten onions or garlics. Though it's something useful for your body, but imagine you sitting and We see this among some of the brothers, you know, in prayer, in Maghrib or Isha, and the Imam says, Waladdallin, he says, Ameen, and this odor comes out, and you see people left and right falling on the floor of the smell. What the heck? This is unacceptable. Acceptable. Prophet ﷺ tells us that the angels are annoyed with the things that annoy humans, such as onions, garlics, and so on. So a Muslim is always clean and smelling nice. You cannot call people to Islam when you're smelly or when you're dirty, and you can afford not to be. Now, I'm not talking to a poor person that has nothing. He cannot buy soap, he cannot buy deodorants, he cannot buy perfumes. This guy needs charity. I cannot tell him, don't come to the mosque. No, come into the mosque. It's Allah's house. It's Allah's place of worship. But if you can afford it, then this is unacceptable. The Prophet ﷺ once saw a man, and the man was poorly dressed, and his hair was untidy. So the Prophet asked him, ﷺ, do you have money? He said, yes. He said, what kind of money? He said, all kinds, Prophet. I have camels, I have cows, I have sheep. So the Prophet said, Subhanallah, Allah Azza wa Jal, if He blesses someone and gives him wealth, he would like to see it apparent on his appearance. So the man went and he put some oil on his head, he combed it, and he dressed nicely, he washed, he perfumed, and came to the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet was satisfied with him. This does not mean that you go and spend thousands and thousands on designers' clothing or on expensive watches. And no, this is not what Allah wants you to show off. He wants you to be properly dressed, clean, and you don't smell. And that is why the scholars say that it is not a must for you to take a total bath, obligatory bath for Jum'ah, unless you smell. If you smell, then you have to take a bath, and it's recommended, highly recommended, that you have a set of clothes specially designated to be worn in Jum'ah or in Eid, as the Prophet ﷺ used to do. We have a short break, so please stay tuned, and we will be right back, inshaAllah.
In your standpoint of view, are there specific or certain criteria to choose your spouse or a partner, to marry or not to marry? Maybe that's the question. Do we revise the quality of performance of our treatment between the family members as fathers or mothers? As they say usually, it's not what you say, it's how would you say it. Wouldn't you like to be a good storyteller for your kids? Neurobiologically speaking, child abuse and emotional trauma causes scars in the brain of the child, and this might be not easily healing. What's the exact job description of a father? Is it clothing, payments, and feeding, or other important things? Well, I think the job description of a father is merely giving him love and care, self-confidence, giving him sense of security, and checking for the points of strengths to strengthen them. What about potty training and its planning? Oh yeah, actually, it's a state, it's a condition. Fatherhood is not a body or a person, it's a state. Are you a good or skillful designer for the policy and the long-term plans of the life of your kids? Join us every Wednesday for Family Issues.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Just before the break, we were talking about ghusl al-Jumu'ah, and if it's obligatory or recommended. And the question to you, Mustafa, is, what was the verdict, the final verdict?
That it is recommended or preferred that we do.
That is correct. The authentic and correct, most correct verdict is that it is recommended. And this is the choice of Ibn Taymiyyah, may Allah have mercy on his soul, he said that it's recommended unless a person smells. And if he has an odor, then it's a must that he performs obligatory ghusl, obligatory bath. The following hadith is read by Noor.
Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Narrated by Ali, may Allah be pleased with him. The Prophet ﷺ used to teach us the Quran except when he was in a state of sexual impurity.
Okay, the hadith was narrated by Ali. The Prophet ﷺ used to teach us the Quran except when he was in the state of sexual impurity, unless he was junub. And we discussed this issue before, so I don't think we have to go through it again, but just as a reminder. Now, there's a difference between touching the Holy Quran and reciting it. We said that the consensus of scholars, the four schools of thought in Islam, the school of Abu Hanifa, Malik, Al-Shafi'i, and Al-Hanbali school, they all agree that it is forbidden to touch the Holy Quran. There's no difference among them in this issue. And we said that reciting the Quran, there's a difference between a person who has a sexual impurity due to intercourse and a menstruating woman. Now, in the case of sexual impurity, janaba, it is far easier to get rid of this state than it is with a woman in her monthly period, because this woman may take 7 days, 8 days to get pure. And in the case of a woman that has given birth to a child, she would probably take 20, 30, maybe 40 days until she's pure. So by us coming to her and telling her, you must not recite the Quran, that would be too much, asking too much, because one should always be connected to Allah Azza wa Jal. In the case of this junub, in the case of this person with sexual impurity, he would not last more than 4 or 5 hours, because prayer is coming, so he has to perform ghusl and pray. So if we tell him, stop these 2, 3, or 5 hours without reciting the Quran, that would not be asking too much of him. So the authentic, inshallah, and the correct verdict is that they should not read the Quran, just to be on the safe side. The one that has sexual impurity. Except, if you recall, Fadi?
Yeah, if he's going to recite it before he goes to bed.
Okay, and we justified this by saying that the supplication that one says before going to bed is not considered to be reciting the Quran. Though he is reciting Ayat al-Kursi, Qul huwa Allah ahad, the last 3 chapters of the Quran, but he's doing this because he is doing it as a form of supplication before going to sleep. So this is agreed upon, and it's okay for a person to do that. Now, the hadith of Ali tells us that the Prophet used to teach us the Quran. The only thing that would prevent him from teaching us the Quran is being on the state of sexual impurity. And this is acceptable, and we said that one should avoid this. I think that this is all that we have regarding this hadith. We spoke earlier about not misusing the Quran by hanging it in our necks, or putting it under a pillow, or putting it in our cars as a protector. And this is not acceptable or permitted in the Quran, in Islam, because this is insulting the Quran. Quran has been revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, has been given to us so that we can read it and do and apply what's in it, the instructions that are embedded in it. Not to hang it on walls, or to hang it in a necklace, or to put it in a car, or in a flight kit, or whatever. Fadi, you had something to ask?
Yeah, I have a question. So if someone recites the Quran in a state of when he's impure during daytime and not at night, has he committed a sin if he does so, or not?
It's a rule of thumb. Always put it in your mind. Whenever we say that this is forbidden, or not permissible or haram, this means that whoever does this has committed a sin. Now, sins vary. There are major sins and there are minor sins, but still there are sins. And whenever we say it's obligatory, mandatory, wajib, fard, you have to, you must, then this means that if you do not do it, then you have committed a sin. Now, preferable things, we say it's preferred that you do this. It's recommended that you do this. If you do them, you're rewarded. But if you don't, you're not punished for that. This would not be considered a sin because it's preferable, it's not obligatory. And on the other hand, the not recommended things, al-makruh, if you do them, there isn't a sin on you. But if you abandon doing them, if you do not do them, Allah will reward you for that. And then there's the last and final thing, which is in between, which is mubah. What is mubah is? Permissible. So everything in this life has 5 names, or is divided into 5 categories. It's either obligatory on one side, or forbidden, muharram, or it's either recommended and preferable, or not recommended or not preferable. And the 5th one, which is permissible, whether you do it or not, it's up to you. Must I drink this glass of water? One says it's recommendable. No, it's not. One says no, it's not recommendable. No, it's not again. So what is it? It's permissible. If I drink it, it's okay. If I don't, it's okay. When does it become obligatory for me to drink this glass of water? If I am going to die out of thirst and I don't want to drink this water, I'm going to die. It's obligatory for me to drink it. When it's forbidden for me to drink it, if I am fasting, or if there is najasa, if there's filth, then it's haram. I know it. It's haram for me to drink it. Or if it's poisonous. So you always have to label everything, whether it has these 5 categories: forbidden, obligatory, preferred, not preferred, and permissible. So we come back to your question. Your question was, I forgot.
When you recite the Quran during daytime and not at night, you told us we're supposed to stay away from it.
Yes.
But if we do, it's not sin.
Yes, that because during the daytime or nighttime, it is forbidden for you to recite the Quran when you are on the state of sexual impurity, unless it is part of supplication. So whether the timing doesn't matter. It has no significance, whether it's day or night. The state you're in is what matters here. Again, I think we should go on to the following hadith, hadith number 103.
Narrated by Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him, Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, if one of you has sexual intercourse with his wife and wishes to repeat, he must perform ablution between them. Al-Hakim added, ablution makes one more active for repeating the sexual act.
Now, this hadith talks about performing ablution between intercourses. If a person performs intercourse and wants to repeat this process again, then it's recommended that he performs ablution before doing that. And the Prophet ﷺ justified this by saying it makes him fresh, more active. The following hadith, hadith number 104.
Narrated by Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her. Whenever Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam took a ghusl, meaning a bath, after sexual intercourse, he would begin by washing his hands, then pour water with his right hand on his left hand and wash his sexual organs. He would then perform ablution, then take some water and run his wet fingers through the roots of his hair. Then he would pour 3 handfuls of water on his head, then pour water over the rest of his body, and subsequently wash his feet. agreed upon, and the wording is Muslims. Al-Bukhari and Muslim reported from Maymuna, may Allah be pleased with her, Allah's Messenger ﷺ poured water over his private parts and washed them with his left hand. He then struck his hand against the earth. In another narration, he rubbed his left hand with the surface soil. And in the end of this narration, then I brought him a towel, but he returned it and began wiping off the water with his hand. Agreed upon.
Now, to go through this hadith, I think we need some more time, and we're just about to finish this program. Therefore, I'll delay it to next time we meet, inshallah, and I'll conclude this program by elaborating a little bit on ablution after sexual intercourse. Now, Aisha tells us that the Prophet ﷺ has advised those who want to repeat the process of going back to intercourse again to wash, to perform ablution. Is it a must? No, it's not a must. But ablution itself reduces the heat and tension in a person, and it refreshes him again. And we are ordered to perform ablution in various of places, such as before going to bed. It is a sunnah that a Muslim performs ablution before going to bed. And why is that? Because the minute he does this, Allah Azza wa Jal would have an angel protecting him and praying for this man. So whenever he wakes up in the middle of the night, whenever he wakes up because of his sleep on the state of tahara, and he performed ablution, the minute he wakes up and makes dhikr and asks Allah for anything, Allah will grant him this thing. So the catch is that we all should perform ablution before going to bed. So if we die on a state of tahara, of purity, and if we wake up, we call Allah Azza wa Jal, oh Allah, grant us a good wife, grant us wealth, grant us health, then Allah will answer our call. I'm afraid that this is all the time we have for today's program, and until we meet next time, fi amanillah, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.